Hey you guys, say hi when you jump on so I know that you're here. I'm a couple minutes late. I am a couple minutes late. Making messes. Making messes. I got my Valentine's shirt on. Hey Brenda, welcome in. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. Hi Beth. I hope you're feeling better today. So I got off work and I was really tired, like really tired. So I laid down to charge my phone after work and I fell asleep, and I must have went into like a really deep sleep. So my husband, he comes and wakes me up and he's like, babe, you're sleeping. Like, and I thought that it was in the morning time. So like I panicked and was like, babe, it's only 6 o'clock. I don't have to be up yet. He's like, no, babe, it's 6 o'clock. You just got off of work. I was like, oh, I have sourdough. So I think I like crashed out like a little, maybe too hard for my little afternoon nap. I'm a day off now already. My poor husband. He's probably like, I'm gonna make dinner. Your bubbles are getting funky. Yay! I want to show you my funky ones. I came down to some funk happening. I'm excited. So if you don't have funk happening, it's okay. But if you do start to see funk happening, that's awesome. You'll definitely see funk happening after tonight's feed. If you haven't already started to see different changes in your starter. I'm going to show you what changes I had in my starter last night. And I actually think my starter rose last night, which is kind of crazy that it's rising on already, but it looks like it started. I'm so glad you're feeling much better, Beth. That makes me happy. I am glad. So, my starter, I scraped down the sides last night as good as I could get them. And you see this ring around here? And it's about the same height all the way around. I think my starter came up to here and then dropped back down. Now, when your starter, you feed your starter, when you start to get it to go and grow those cultures, it will rise. And then when it gets hungry again, it goes back down. And so that's where you can tell where your starter actually rose to. I didn't see it rise, but the indication on my jar is that it did rise, which is super exciting. But I'm also going to show you. I'm going to show you inside my jar. Hopefully you're seeing inside my jar. Do you see the bubbles in there? See all the bubbles starting to go in there? That's what you're wanting. You're wanting those bubbles to start forming. And that's the indication that your starter is growing. It's starting to become alive. It's becoming sourdough starter. They knock you all over the place. So those bubbles are what you're wanting to start to see. You want to start seeing those bubbles start forming. This is a very healthy starter starting. And so this is very exciting news. But as you can see my line here, now what I'm going to have you guys do tonight, which we haven't started yet, but now that I know Well, now that mine rose a little bit, I know that, you know, we're starting to get to that time where it's going to start rising. So now after we feed it, we're going to scrape down the sides and then we're going to mark it where it's at. So then you can tell where it's grown to. Now, usually if you check within 4 hours, go back and peek at your starter, you'll see it higher than your line, and then you'll know that your starter's actually growing. Peak for starter is 8 hours, but within 4 to 6 hours, you'll see a rise in there, and then you'll know it's rising. So I'm gonna have you guys mark your jars today of where we end up at our feed. But that's what you're looking for. You should have some funky bubbles starting in there. So before you discard this time, it's alive, it's alive. Before you discard this, I'm gonna grab my cup. Before you discard, you are gonna stir in those funky bubbles because we want those cultures to be mixed in there really well. We don't want to, I mean, obviously we're discarding again, but that's okay. It's good to discard because look what we discarded yesterday and look how much action we got. We got bubbles, we had a little bit of a rise, like we're getting some action by discarding it out. It's just making our starter super healthier. And thank you for the stars, Sarah. Here's your bubbles. See, I'm making bubbles and giving you bubbles. Thank you for your stars. It helps me a lot. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to discard around half. If you're not using a scale, if you're using a scale, you're gonna discard around 100 grams. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my scale on. I really want you guys to get a scale and start trying the scale out because you're gonna need it and practice it for when we actually make sourdough bread. So it's a good learning time if you don't normally use a scale. So I'm gonna go, I'm gonna listen to my own advice and stir up my starter. Always stir your starter before you discard because you got the good funk on the top. You wanna make sure it's all stirred in so you're actually discarding it out equally and all the cultures are in one spot and you discard them all. So give it a good stir. And I'm gonna take out about 100 grams. I am gonna eyeball it though because I don't want it to go more than half of our starter. You guys, there's a lot of good bubbles in here. There's a lot of good bubbles in here. Okay. Thank you. I like it too. Okay. See, even when I, in my discard that I discarded out, can you see all the bubbles in there? So exciting. Okay. So now that we have discarded out half or 100, around 100 grams, you're gonna scrape down your sides. I made a mess. I made a mess, you guys. I made a mess. We're gonna zero out our scale. If you're using a scale, you're gonna feed it 100 grams of flour. If you're not using a scale, you're gonna feed it 3/4 cups of flour. So there's 40, 60, 80. Ooh, so close. So close. Okay. Hey, Sandra. Hey, Teresa. You're using your postal scale. You're so funny. Hey, that works. So then you're gonna zero out your scale and you are going to feed it 100 grams of water or a half cup of water, around a half cup of water. Now, if your starter's super thick, you guys, add a little bit more water to it. We want it on the thicker side, but if you're not able to stir it or pour it, then it's too thick and you need to add more water. But at this point, you should be pretty good because we added water yesterday. Okay, so we're gonna do 100 grams of water. $101. I'm off every time this time. Can't get it right. Hold on, me. Take a drink. Okay. So you're gonna scrape your sides of your jar. Let me get my scale out of here. You guys, I'm making an enormous mess in here. I have flour all over my craft room. Okay, so then you're gonna stir it in. And make sure you get all that starter on the bottom. Stir it in there. Make it nice and blended. And as I go around while I still have water in there, like, I try to scrape down the sides and get off the sides at the same time. So we don't have any chunky stuff on the sides. We can actually get a clear glass to see if we had a res. Eventually, we'll just have to go off our markings though, because it's just gonna get to be a lot. Now the goal is I want you guys to stir, stir, stir today. So stirring this is actually really good for it. So you want to get it as blended as possible, and you just want to stir away. Stir, stir. And like I said, if you can't stir it because it's too thick, add a little bit of water. Just little bits at a time until you get a consistency where, like, almost like a pancake batter consistency is what you're wanting. A little thicker than a pancake batter, I should say. Some people make their pancake batter kind of thin, so I have to be careful how I say that. Gotta be careful how I say that. Well, you guys, I'm excited. I have a whole evening ahead of me. I thought I woke up in the, in the morning and I thought I was going to have to go right back to work. But I do not have to go back to work after getting off an hour later, so that is good. That is a good thing. Okay, so I'm stirring this in. Getting it nice and I'm trying to get as many flour chunks out as I can. You're obviously not going to be able to get them all, but you want to get as many out as you can. Many out as you can. Okay, that looks pretty good. So scrape that off. And who can tell me in the chat what you're gonna do with your discard that we discarded today? What are we gonna do with the discard? Hey, Michelle.
Put it down in the toilet.
No, babe. Thanks, Sarah. Yes, please share. Please share me out and give me a like. That would be amazing. It helps spread the word that we're doing starter. Helps me a lot. You are going to throw it away. Yay, Sarah. Throw it away. Do not put it in your sink. Do not put it in your sink, please. Okay, so we got it nice and mixed up. Now I have a good idea of where my line is. So now what we're gonna do is you're just gonna take either I like to actually use what do you call those pins? The ones that you use on those boards, the wipe away pins. Xerox pens. Aren't they Xerox pens or something? I don't know. The wipe away pens. But I don't have one of those, obviously. Pour it down the drain then call a plumber. This is expensive. Because it turns to like concrete. Okay, so we're going to draw a line of where we left off the top of our starter. So that line now, I'll be able to see, I'm going to come look at it in like 4 hours, and I should be able to see it above this line in here. Dry erase. Oh, that's what it is. Man, that was, my brain was not, my husband's in the kitchen. I literally said it. I'm still waking up from my like deep nap I took.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, throw it away. And then you guys just take a little towel, wipe off as much as you can, a paper towel, and then you can clean it in hot soapy water, and this is fine to go down your drain. And if you're really worried about it, add some vinegar in there with it. It'll help break it down even more, but just do not put your discard in the drain. And you guys, we're going to be starting to use our discard here soon, so you're not going to have to worry about it at all. It's just these first few days that are super important that you don't do it down your drain. So we're going to put our lid on. We're not going to twist it. I just had to get that chunk off. You're going to just place your lid on so it can still breathe. And then, as Sarah would say, we're going to tuck in our funk. So we're going to tuck in our funk. She's giving me new words. So we're tucking in our funk. And you want to keep your starter around 70 degrees. If your house is a little bit colder, then make sure you tuck it in. And keep it in a closet or somewhere that's warmer than out in the open. My house is actually set at 70, but I know my starter's not going to stay there, so I do tuck it in. But you want to make sure starters like to be warm. That's where they start getting active. That's how they build their cultures. You want them to be warm. So just tuck your little starter in, and then we'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. To feed it again. And if I will check this in 4 hours, and if I'm getting a rise, I'll take a picture of it and put it on the page. But you guys take pictures of your starter now that you guys getting bubbles. It's starting to get a little active. It's becoming alive. I want you to post pictures in the comments of your starter of the day that we do it, or if you're a day behind, then do it the day before. I would love to see where you guys are at, what's going on. We can kind of judge it by that too, if we need to do a change for you, just depending on your elevation or where you're at. But I'm excited. Do you put the lid on completely closed? Do not put the lid on closed. You're just setting the lid on there to keep out the bugs. You guys, fruit flies love starter. So just keep it on so it can still breathe. You're just basically laying the lid on. That's all you're doing. You're not closing it down. It needs to breathe. It needs to breathe. You're not going to try it, Michelle? Oh, it's so fun, and it's so good for you. Okay, you guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I'll check my starter here in a couple hours and see if we're above that purple line. I'll take a picture and share it with you guys. And like I said, make sure you take pictures of yours as you're going. Post them in the comments. And we're on our way to making some sourdough bread, you guys. We got the funk going on, which is exciting. All right, you guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.